cocaine in Los Angeles.
Bingo.
With Freeway Ricky Ross.
It's all tied in. So Bill Casey, Bill Colby rather, who put that all together, he was in the heroin operations in Vietnam, and he was like a little lower down and not running it. And then as he grew up and came to power in the CIA, and those other guys that were more competent, Richard Helms being the primary one, Richard Helms and H.W. Bush, they were not involved when he went off on his own and tried to set up the cocaine smuggling. And that's why he bungled it so fucking bad, because he was a psychopath that didn't have the skill sets required in order to run something that complex. And it eventually, when Barry Seal got popped, he was the guy that was flying the, like, it used to be I'll drive a truck with a brick of cocaine across the border, and then Barry Seal was this military CIA pilot that said, like, I'll just fill my whole fucking plane with cocaine and you get like 1,000 runs in one. And he was just flying whole planes over to Mena, Arkansas, where Bill Clinton was the governor.
Yeah,
as well as a few other places.
That Tom Cruise movie where they get a call from the governor.
Bingo.
And they have to let Barry Seals out, which did happen.
Yeah. And when Barry Seal finally got popped, all the rats started to run and try to look out for their own, and eventually that led to Oliver North taking the stand and like, bro, you're supposed to be the fall guy. And now we just have this huge fucking problem.
Yeah.
It's wild. Yeah.
Wild. And these are just one of thousands of stories like this.
Yep.
Thousands and thousands
Very
of stories.
well documented that originally you're a fringe reporter, Gary Webb. You're making it all up. You're a disgrace. And Gary Webb's writing Dark Alliance. You can look up his Wikipedia page. And Gary Webb exposed how Freeway Ricky Ross was the outlet for all this cocaine. And holy shit, Freeway Ricky Ross is a crazy story. But then when
I've had
he
him on 3 times.
Yeah?
Yeah. I had him on
Dude, what
recently.
an interesting guy, right?
He's selling weed in LA now.
Dude,
Legally.
what a full circle. He goes from wanting to be a tennis pro to being the #1 kingpin of cocaine.
Well, not only
this
that,
mastermind.
Doesn't know how to read.
Yeah, illiterate the whole time.
Yeah, learned how to read in jail, became a lawyer in jail, then realized that the 3 strikes law had been inaccurately applied to him.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they applied it to one specific event. It's supposed to be you get arrested 3 different times for 3 felonies.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that they needed to cover it all
he's
up
out of jail.
because shit was starting to come out.
Well,
because Gary Webb.
Hey, what's up, Nick?
I mean, maybe Gary Webb was after that, but then Gary Webb committed suicide by shooting himself in the head 2 times.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, guys.
Yeah.
Crazy movie about that too.
Yeah, crazy. There's so many of these things. It's like the idea of a conspiracy theory being a ridiculous fringe thing doesn't hold water.
It's like the Jimmy Dore skit. It's like, reading? You mean reading? You should try it. Jimmy's the best. I love Jimmy
He
so
just
much.
He just filmed his new special at Mothership. Yeah. Jimmy's the best. I love him to death. I've known him from comedy, from back when.
I gotta get out.
And then when he was at Young Turks, when he was a leftist.
Yup.
And then, which he really still holds all those same values.
No, he holds it down. I think still are the 2 guys
I gotta get a phone holder. I used to have one.
Like, where's the sane left? It's kind of like you guys. I think like Eric Weinstein is a good example. Eric and Brett Weinstein.
Yeah.
There's a couple.
Well, there's people.
You think I can get one at like CVS?
Yeah. There's people who didn't care.
Yeah, minivan.
Boy, did they get fucking attacked. Boy, did they have a lot of pressure. It's like, it's so hard to...
Good old minivan.
It's millions of views. And then you find that, MSNBC is getting a fraction of that. And they're, corporate funded, enormous, huge organizations with staff, and now they're hemorrhaging.
It's wild to watch the mainstream journalists, like the MSNBC folk, have to leave. Like Joy Reid just left, for example, and like when Don Lemon left,
they got fired.
Exactly.
They can't say left. They didn't want to leave. They got kicked out.
But they try to make it in the new media world, and they're just like, you have no value here because you were never good at this job. You were just good at reading propaganda to us.
You look good, and you got put on camera.
Whereas Tucker Carlson gets kicked out, and he fucking slays it, and he just grows bigger and bigger and bigger because he's not bought, he's not scared, and he actually is good at communicating and interviewing and getting to the truth. It's so cool to watch this side
Best thing about the van is, well, one,
it's really
you can fit a lot of kids in it, and 2, fully paid for. I got no loan on it.
And there's going to be a lot of bullshit out there. There's a lot of stuff that's not true. That's okay too. You'll figure it out.
No loan at all.
There's too many people that are telling the truth, and there's too much that's undeniable that once you start reading, you start questioning virtually everything.
Fun tie for 2 things you guys were just talking about.
Oh yeah, Southern Air Transport. This is the airline,
So
right?
this was the airline used. Came out the same day that they filed for bankruptcy after being in Columbus, Ohio, being used by Leslie Wexner's.
Leslie Wexner is deeply tied into those CIA
A lot of
lines.
roads lead back to Columbus, Jamie.
Oh yeah, and it's all because of Leslie
Wexner.
Wexner.
I got some things to share with our friends.
Jamie's got his own conspiracy
files.
Heard that. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. It's wild how many of these. And again, before the internet, this is how they did business. This
We got
is
two
why
of
it's
them.
so sloppy. It's
Yep.
because before the internet, you didn't have to cover your tracks. You could get away with this stuff.
And the thing about the internet that I love, that gets me called a controlled opposition all the time, is that I love that all of their tactics work backwards too. I can use these tactics too. I can make propaganda, because what propaganda is just convincing messaging. And if you have convincing messaging in the hands of an evil fucking megalomaniacal dictator, government, CIA, whatever it is, that's really bad. But if you have propaganda tools in the hands of regular citizens that have morals and values, that want the best for the world, correctly applied, you can fight back against it.
Right.
And so there's this element where I'm looking at how do
Hey,
you open people's
that's
minds?
awesome.
Like, how do you strategize to get your, and it's a balance, right? Because when I'm reporting on something, it's important to tell the truth.
It's great
It's
having
important to
kids.
be accurate. And accuracy, if you really dig enough and get enough accuracy, that reduces entertainment value. But if you find a way to balance entertainment value with accuracy the right way, which is always a moving target, you can change the world. Like, I'm a regular dude 2 years ago. I was an Uber Eats driver, an ultra marathon running guide. I was like a no one in the middle of nowhere. And then I'm like, all right, I'll just contribute, and I'll start trying to tell these stories, trying to learn and communicate what's going on.
Well, you have to also have to.
Is that hard?
Back for it, and you have to be really.
Mine are
interested
younger.
in these things.
Interest is the
Is it hard having a teenager?
Very actually, totally, completely interested in it.
I think that a lot of people try to get into podcasting and this internet field these days because it's what you're supposed to do.
It's a business.
But they don't realize that that's going to be your job every day for the rest of your life. You better
Right.
fucking love it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, you're seeing that with a lot of podcasters where they start off and then they fall off because they can't do it because they're not interested.
Yep. And it's a lot of work and a lot of hassle. There's no guarantee of success. It's
Right.
Very saturated industry.
And you have to actually be locked in with what you're talking about because if you're not, there's too much competition. There's too many people that are locked in.
Yep.
Okay, what do you think is going on with the whole UAP thing?
Dude, I love this fucking conversation.
I love this fucking
It's the
conversation.
most interesting.
I never get tired of it.
Do you want to go the angle of what are the crafts, or do you want to go the bigger angle of what is the phenomenon?
Okay, let's start with what is the phenomenon.
I think that right now, science and religion
Yes.
and UAP
Oh, he's asking
are
for
all
money.
converging on
Yeah.
similar truths. And what I mean by that is that science. So you know the science of consciousness.
I'm gonna take this. All right, let's see if I can do both. yes, life is hard. Never ends. Never ends, Nick. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. I always appreciate the support.
Consciousness comes from.
Right.
But there's a lot of people that start to suggest that it sounds like we're antenna that are receiving consciousness from some sort of consciousness field or some sort of other, like.
Have you read any Thomas Campbell?
No, I don't think
You
so.
should read the Big Toe, Theory of Everything. It's very bizarre stuff. Very hard to swallow. You got to go back and listen to it multiple times.
I like that kind of shit.
I had him on the podcast, and at the end of it, I was like, we got to stop here. I have to think about everything he said, and then we'll bring you back, and we'll go deeper, because he wanted to keep going, go deeper and deeper. Like, he's been living in these
It goes
realms.
and goes, dude. Because you're talking metaphysics, you're talking physics, you're talking
multiverse,
like history and like disclosure about history and dimension. And like, I suspect that whatever consciousness is coming from is this multiverse, this conscious field, this ether, this multidimensional thing, whatever. I suspect that's very similar to what UAPs are traversing in and out of and through. And I suspect that's very similar to what we identify as either the gods, plural, the aliens, plural, that have these abilities we don't have,
angels,
as well as God singular, which is probably the highest up above all of those things